This is the 40U Tech Startups podcast. The podcast in which you hear all about the startups and spin-offs from the 4 technical universities in the Netherlands. From the challenges they face to the ecosystems they accelerate in, here we talk about what it takes to flourish and make impact on an international playing field. Brought to you by the 40U. Welcome everyone to the Dutch 40U Tech Startups podcast. Today we're recording this live from London and I am joined with Jeroen Sassen.
Yes, thank you, Vera. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so nice to see you again.
Thank you.
We talked earlier, but for those who don't know, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, so as I said already, nice to be here. Thanks. So I'm one of the co-founders of Heimdall Sensor Intelligence. We are a IoT startup from the Netherlands, from Eindhoven. And what we eventually do is we help property managers with the optimal window washing policy on the outer shelf of their buildings. Currently, most buildings are just being washed 4 times per year. So just regular intervals of 1st of January, 1st of April, 1st of July, 1st of October.
Right.
And what we saw in the market is that there is a switch from frequency-based washing to performance-based washing. But you will need data for that. And we provide the data and the analysis with it to have optimal window washing policy.
So no more dirty windows.
No more dirty windows, and cost savings, quality assurance, and less water that's being used. So also the impact over there, and less chemicals.
Sounds good. And we talked before at Slush, that was like half a year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go back to that moment. What did you get out of that mission?
Slush was them. If I think back about Slush, it was a really nice conference. It was 2 days at the conference, but yet already 1 day before that with all the 40U startups and all the other startups. So that was a really nice bonding experience.
Yeah.
At the conference itself, we talked to 15 investors.
15?
15, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a very busy schedule. And we also had a lot of follow-up meetings after that. And we actually also closed our pre-seed round 2 months after Slush. Not with any of the investors that we met over there, though. But it was very good to get everyone's feedback and to have like follow-up investors already ready.
Yeah, exactly.
So, as I said, 15 investors spoken to at Slush, met a lot of other cool Dutch startups, mixed and blended in the ecosystem. So,
yeah, sounds good.
Perfect experience.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I agree. I really enjoyed that trip as well. And now we're here in London, another startup mission. Why did you decide to join this one?
Yeah, this is a very good question. As you already said, it's a bit different from the other missions that we usually do with the 40U.
Yeah, because this time there's no conference involved.
This time there's no conference. So I also went to a CES, for example. That was in January.
Yeah.
Very nice conference, really big, really interesting. But we also over there had some meetings with some alumni.
Mm-hmm.
And when I thought back of that mission, everything was great, of course. But the most interesting part was the discussions with the alumni, because these are people that also went to Dutch universities, are now very high in the ranks of their ecosystem.
Yes.
And just talking to them and being able to be directed to very high place in the DMU already really makes more sense than meeting people from scratch on the exhibition floor, for example.
Yeah.
So that was the most powerful thing. And then I heard about this mission in London that was mostly focused on alumni.
Yeah, we were actually invited by the alumni network here in London.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So most powerful thing is meeting these alumni. So that was definitely one of the reasons that we joined to London.
Yeah. So, what is then the powerful thing about meeting alumni?
Yeah, again, very good question. And we already experienced this. So, for example, what I already said to you is that we had some breakfast sessions at the CES conference, also at alumni. we met a very nice alumni over there. Decided to have more talks. So when we were back in the Netherlands, we hopped on some team calls. And after that, he said, okay, well, this is interesting. I'm going to introduce you guys to one of my bosses,
Right.
who's like very high in the top DMU of one of the biggest customers that we could get all over the world.
Oh, wow.
So that meeting is not planned yet because this guy is so extremely busy that we had to schedule like 6 weeks in advance. So when we come back, we have to wait 2 more weeks and then we have this meeting.
Right.
But just to give you the impression that if you would meet someone from that company on the exhibition floor,
Yeah.
and I think we should have 20 meetings, for example, to finally reach that high DMU. And now we did one stop at the alumni, and he completely directed us to this high person in the DMU.
Yeah, so it's the network of the alumni,
network,
really.
yeah.
And is there then also a bit of likability involved, that the alumni is like, oh, these people also studied at a technical university in the Netherlands. Let me help them out?
Of course, you know how it works. And I'm now for, I think, 2.5 years in this business. And the power of networking is so strong when you don't only really talk about your product. So first of all, you would always immediately start about what does your startup, what are you selling, what do you want to get from the other guy. But it's way more important to just make that connection at first. And if you have someone from the same university that you went to, you can make jokes about the bar that you went to after college, for example, to have some beers or some sport programs that you maybe both joined, and then you have that real strong connection. After that conversation, if that went well, then you should go into the business part.
Yes.
And then they are also way more willing to help you instead of just blurting your story from the first second in the air in a crowdy bar that just doesn't work.
Yeah, so really the making a connection with someone, and then it really helps that you already have something in common.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%.
And then on this mission, last night we had the alumni event, and this morning we had alumni breakfast.
Yeah.
So what types of conversations did you have over there?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Joe and everyone else in the organization, because they organized it really well. So how it started is that the alumni at the event, and we all could pitch for 1 or 2 minutes about our product.
Yeah.
Then the 100 alumni that were over there that exactly heard, okay, for example, we are interested in the real estate market. And we were approached by some people that were in the real estate market. So that really helped. So again, what was the question?
What types of conversations?
What types of conversations? So for us, mostly the real estate market, but also some venture capital conversations. Definitely, yes.
Right. And to what extent were they interested in you? Were they really like, tell me more, or?
I think they were all very interested. Yes, definitely. Everyone that I talked to, but it's also like what I said earlier, this new way of networking.
Yeah.
So first start about like, okay, how was your career, for example? So I always ask this question when I meet someone for the first time, like, what were the steps in your career? What's the big advantage that you have for a young guy as me? What steps should I take? What were points in your career that if you would do it again, that you would decide to do it not or just do it?
Right.
And
so really learn from them.
Really learn from them. And if you have done that part of the conversation, then just go on to the business part.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what is the biggest thing that you've learned from an alumni in one of those conversations?
I think mostly the advice to just do the startup right now, instead of just, for me personally, I've always been in doubt if I wanted to work at a big corporate or if I wanted to go in the startup world.
Yeah, that's quite the decision to make.
That's quite a decision to make, because from a young age, I already knew that I had something entrepreneurial in me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always thinking, okay, how is this process going? I can remember that I went to on holiday with my parents, and we were at the airport, and I think I was 10 or 11 years old. And I was already completely impressed by all the processes that were going on and people just flowing. I mean, like airport, very dense population area, right?
Yeah.
A lot of processes going on. I was already really impressed by everything that was evolving over there. So I knew I wanted to be in an organization kind of role and flow with that. So based on that, the entrepreneurial sense was really was in there. And on the other side, I've also see myself working in a big corporate and just climbing the ladder further.
Yeah, because in the corporate, you also have all those structures and workflows.
And kind of that stuff. So that was a very big decision for me to make. But after talking to all these alumni at the events, they were all because I asked them about their career, but they, of course, also asked me back about the choices I have made.
Mm-hmm.
And they all said, okay, do the startup right now. And of course, we think it's going to be a success. But if it doesn't work out, then you have so much lessons learned and knowledge gained for being in a corporate role after this, for example.
Yeah.
That also works out. So just do the startup now, just go for it. And that was one of the biggest advice that I got.
Well, that's a good advice to get, because oftentimes I also hear that same advice given to students.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, you have nothing to lose, so start now with your startup.
Just do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're now in London, and of course the 40U alumni are all over the world, but here in London is one of the biggest alumni communities. Was that also a reason for you to join this mission to London, or do you also have connections with alumni elsewhere?
So London specifically is a very interesting market for us. So we are focusing on the big financial districts.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, in Amsterdam, you have a very big financial district. But also in Frankfurt, Brussels, Paris, you have very big financial districts. But especially here in London, it's extremely big. So we already talked to some partners here in London to do pilot projects and stuff like that.
Right.
So based on that, we definitely want to have these connections in London, because it could be a stepping stone for us to the US, for example.
Right. Exactly.
And also all the venture capital that's available over here really makes a difference. So yeah, if I could choose a city again, I would definitely choose London. And maybe that's after that a city in the US, but in Europe, definitely London. Yeah.
Right. And we're now basically at the final day of our mission. Well, we're leaving tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you hope to get out of this mission?
Well, definitely more talks with alumni.
Right.
I've noticed that this is one of the most important things when you want to scale through those networks, that you have these connections with the alumni. Furthermore, people at the embassy. I didn't talk about it yet, but the people at the embassy are also very important.
Yeah, of course. We're going there tonight again.
We are going. So we were yesterday at the embassy. Very nice experience, very warm welcome, and tonight again to the embassy. And if you want to have your foot between the door at a foreign country, it's already really difficult.
Yeah.
But if you have to do it without the embassy, then it's even more difficult. So also a very nice thank you to those of the embassy that already helped us.
Yeah, because
Definitely.
Can you briefly paint the picture of what the embassy does for startups?
Yeah, so if you're a startup and you want to expand to a foreign country, you should definitely talk to people at the embassy. For example, we were also at Toronto. I can't remember the name of the event, but it's in the summer in Toronto last year. Do you remember?
Is it Collision?
Collision, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. You saved me over there. It was a Collision, and also over there we had really good connections with the embassy. Also a lot of startup liaisons. And if you ever want to experience or have a meeting in the market over there, you should just contact the embassy. And the embassy have a very large network, and they can already approach the right party,
right,
instead of you just feeling lost in a different country and just going for it. I mean, that works as well, right? So
yeah,
if you want to do it,
again, the network,
you can make it work. You can make it work. But as I said in the beginning, the person that we're going to talk to through the alumnus that we met. That's so we met the alumnus, and after that, the DMU that we want to meet.
Mm-hmm.
I could also have done it the other way around, but then I have to do like 20 steps together, and it's just a lot of work. And you have a lot of work in your startup, so you have to divide your time wisely.
Yes.
So you could do it that way, but the other way is way faster and way quicker. So you should definitely make use of that network.
Yeah. Would that also be the advice for startups, to connect with a lot of alumni to make use of their network?
100%. And I will repeat it again, but my main advice is don't go for the price directly. Just make a friendly conversation, ask about their career, ask about the steps that they went through and how they got to this specific point.
Yeah.
And if you have laid that basis, then you start talking business.
Yeah.
But definitely hold off the urge to start talking about business, because they are also tired about it. I mean, of course, we are all excited about it, but after that I've told my story 20 times in one evening, I'm also a bit blurry about what I will say and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like you said, there's a lot to learn from the steps that the alumni have taken.
Yeah, actively listen, 100%.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
I thought it was very valuable, with a lot of lessons for other startups.
Yeah. Cool.
And I think the main takeaway is to make use of all the alumni networks that are there all over the world, to up-level your startup, basically.
100%. And maybe one add-on that we discussed, because we were in Imperial yesterday, right?
Yeah, of course, Imperial College.
Imperial College has a massive alumnus network.
Mm-hmm.
The number one incubator in Europe, if I remember correctly.
Exactly.
But the amount of alumnus that we have with the 4TU is even bigger than the Imperial, because we bundled our strengths of the 4 technical universities. So be aware of this strength and use it. So that's my main takeout.
The strength of networks.
100%, yes.
Well, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the mission.
I will. Thank you for having me, and hopefully till the next time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.